violence, rape, and intimate partner violence are all too common threats to our community. What, as Commonwealth's attorney, would you do to address these life-threatening issues?
Bill.
Certainly a good question. Thank you, Katie. Obviously, the first thing that needs to be done is that when these crimes are reported and they're brought to the Commonwealth's attorney by the police department or magistrate issues warrants, they need to be prosecuted. And the prosecution needs to be effective. And where necessary, convictions gained and sometimes punishment, including incarceration for more serious crime, needs to be done by the courts. But I think there's more that can be done as well, particularly in the area of domestic violence. And I know that our Commonwealth attorney has had a good relationship with Project Horizon, which is a local nonprofit, dealing with domestic violence. I think there's even more room for particularly some intervention. I've talked to Judy Castile, who's the executive director there, about a batterers intervention program that she's interested in bringing here, and that's the type of thing that I would like to see. Certainly educating people and encouraging reporting of those kind of acts is also very important so that they come to our law enforcement community. In terms of family violence, one of the other things that is going on in the community right now that I think is going to help in this regard is that Project Horizon is also establishing something called the Child Advocacy Center for doing forensic interviews of child victims, and I think that's a great step forward for our community. Thank you.
Okay, right on time. Mr. Billius.
These crimes are very difficult crimes. I've been prosecuting these now since I've been in our office. I've been a primary prosecutor dealing with sex offenses and offenses against children, and fortunately I've had a very good track record in terms of prosecuting those types of cases. They're peculiarly difficult cases because when you're dealing with victims of domestic violence, you have victims who oftentimes are very scared, they're intimidated by their partner, they have relationships that will continue with their partner. Unlike other types of crimes where there's a stranger aspect and there is no relationship, crimes of domestic violence and sexual violence typically involve family members where the relationship's ongoing. It makes it particularly difficult for us to prosecute those cases also because there is a connection, there's factions within families, and you're creating a disruption of families when you prosecute these matters. These have to be looked at with an experienced eye, and it takes a lot of wisdom, experience, to be able to deal with these kind of cases at an effective level. But the problem is not just for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. The problem is also for other agencies that we're involved with to help us with successful cases. Because even if we're successful, for example, in a domestic violence case, that person's going to be back in the community without our assistance living their life with a person who just offended them. So we have to make sure that there are programs in place that the relationship is not brought back at the same level that we found it at with the criminal offense being committed, and I'm committed to making sure those resources are used to their full.